Welcome to the second video on building applications with App Factory. In this video, we will focus on creating our first manual build job and building an app across multiple channels using this job. In the previous tutorial, I showed you how to set up an App Factory project using my Kitchen Sink app from Visualizer and my GitHub source repository. Now I'm going to use my Kitchen Sink project to show you how to manually build a Visualizer app. Let's get started by clicking the Kitchen Sink project in App Factory. From here we can see two folders, Visualizer and Kony Fabric. The Kony Fabric folder allows you to export app configurations from one environment and import them into a new Kony Fabric environment, as well as publish Kony Fabric apps configurations to a specific runtime. In this video, we're going to focus on the second option, the Visualizer folder. From the Visualizer folder, I can create a build configuration, configure testing, and run tests, as well as create triggers for building and deploying apps on a schedule, or watching for a commit within the source repo. Let's focus on building our app. As you can see, each channel actually runs its own pipeline under the covers. Let's click on the Run icon for the Build Visualizer app job. This allows us to build all my required channels simultaneously by configuring a set of parameters for the build. You can see the build job is highly configurable depending on what channels you need and what stage of deployment you're building for. The App Factory user guide goes over these parameters in detail. In this video, I'll walk you through a few of the parameters so you can get your first native iOS and Android apps out the door. First, the App Factory allows you to choose what branch of your source repository you want to build. This allows you to build a feature in its own branch, and then later merge it into your master branch while maintaining an automated build process. We will use the master branch for our build. We can also choose what Git credentials we want to use to grab the source code from the repo by storing your user credentials within the build interface. I already have a selection of users I can choose from. If I want a new user for this project, I simply add the user with the Add button. As with any credential I create, I can add the scope of the credential, allowing me to securely share the credential to other members of the project or restrict the user credential to my user. As a best practice, I always build to the project folder level. In this case, the Kitchen Sink folder. I can quickly add a username and password that are securely stored and encrypted on the key store on my Jenkins server. We can also create builds that can be used for debugging or build release candidates that can be used for testing or even published to an app store by selecting the build mode here. I'm going to select Debug Build. Each build of an application needs to validate your Kony Cloud credentials to build the app. This is the same validation that is performed if you built your project locally with Visualizer. The App Factory also allows you to store specific app keys and app secrets for each environment of your MF app, allowing you to choose the corresponding key, app secret, and service URL for the target environment. If you want more information on how to configure your app key and app secret in a Visualizer project for App Factory, check out the user guide for more information. Next, I'm going to choose the iOS and Android native channels to build my app binaries. As you can see, there are a number of phone, tablet, and SPA options I can choose from. Choosing any of these options will build an app binary for the specified channels. Next, we'll need to fill in our unique app ID for the Android app, version, and version code for the Android app. Now we need to include our Apple Developer ID we use to create our Apple Developer profile within the Apple Developer Portal. Just like our other credentials, we can add a credential to our dropdown using the Add button and storing the credential in our encrypted key store. We will also need to add an iOS bundle version number to our application that is unique to the version of our application. Then we will need to select the type of profile we want to build against. This includes profiles for deploying the app in the App Store, as well as creating enterprise deployable apps using the Apple Developer Profile. I'm going to choose the Developer Profile for this build. Finally, I can publish my SPA app directly to my Kony Fabric environment and send my app to the AWS device farm. We will cover testing in a separate video, but let's hit build. You can see that the build process is started for both Android and iOS channels. Once the build completes, it'll give a green signal over in the left-hand navigation bar. I'll also receive an email with links to the binaries for each of the channels we built, allowing you to easily install your apps on your target devices. If you get a failure, it gives you a copy of the console so you can start drilling down and seeing where the error was in your build process. In this video, we learn how to manually configure a build job and run that job. Please check out the next tutorial on creating and configuring tests with device pools with App Factory. For more videos, please check out kony.basecamp.com.